So we're about to make a chicken roulade here. Into that roulade I'm gonna add some, this is a chicken mousseline that I made. I have a video on the channel if you want to learn how to make that. I have a chicken breast that I butterflied and then pound down. I have a video about that too. Some mushroom duxelle, a video about that one also. A tomato fondue, I don't have that, but I will have it soon, as of now. So I will say 2 tablespoons of mushroom duxelle and 2 tablespoons of tomato fondue. I also have here what we call some Caul fat. So look at that, look like a web. This is the lining of the intestine in the pork, intestine lining of the pork, and I'm going to use that to keep my roulade together. Okay, so here I'm going to season my chicken breast nicely. Then I'm going to add in the center here my chicken mousseline. You do not want to put too much of it. You're going to flat it down nicely this way. Okay, you want to leave, I will say, 1 centimeter from the chicken mousseline edge and the chicken. Because like this, when we're going to close it, we're going to press it a little bit and we don't want the chicken to come out. Okay. You're trying to kind of square it off a little bit as much as you can. Yeah? Voila. This way. If your spatula is wet, it's going to work much better. A little wet. Okay, and you lay it nicely like that. Okay? Beautiful. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my mushroom duxelle. I'm going to lay it right here on one side. As you lay it, you want to press it against the mousseline. Like that. And you press it nicely inside this way. Now I'm going to do the same with my tomato fondue. Like that. Okay? Now we need to close it. To close it, I'm going to help myself with parchment paper here. I'm going to kind of roll it like that. And I tie it, press it this way. I'm going to do the same on the other side. You press it nice. I'm going to roll it over like that. Now I'm going to kind of tie it together. Okay? See, I'm pressing it this way. You could use some plastic wrap to do that too if you prefer. Okay. And then I'm going to tuck that inside the ends this way nicely. So you see I reach very nicely here. You don't want to put too much stuffing because then if you do, you won't be able to close it like that, which is very important. Okay. Now I'm going to take my Caul fat and place it like that on my cutting board. I'm going to take the roulade. I'm going to let it roll like that here onto the Caul fat. Okay. Now I'm going to roll around it with the Caul fat this way. If you see any thick part on the Caul fat, you want to kind of remove it. You don't want big chunks of it. Even if most of it's going to melt after, as it cooked, try to avoid the thick part. Here I'm going to remove that part. And here I'm going to trim it here. I don't need all that. Now I'm going to put it. I'm going to roll it one more time this way. Up, 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 up. Okay. It's nicely shaped. Now I'm going to cut. I'm going to trim the end here. Up. This way. Now here you have your nice little chicken roulade with a beautiful stuffing inside. But what you need to do, we're going to tie it. So when we cook it, it stays together. So I'm going to take a piece of string. Up. Have a nice piece of string here. It's a thin string. Which a thin butchered one. I'm going to go under here. I'm going to tie it. So me to tie it, I have that technique. I'm going this way here. I'm making what we call a butcher knot. I go twice. And I tie it like that. Make sure I have a little hand here, and you want to keep that hand. Then I'm going to make a loop with my twine and go under it this way. Pull it like that. I have a whole video on that with a little bit more detail because I'm using a thicker twine with some pork loin, if you want to check on my channel too. And you go this way, all the way down here. Up. Now I'm going to roll that over, see, and with my string, and make sure your string is long enough, we're going to go inside here like that. See, I'm going, this is the twine here, I'm going to go inside and catch it this way, make it come this way like that. If you have a thicker twine, it'll work also. I have a thin one here, but a thicker one will work as well. You just want to tie it too much, you don't want to tie it too much because you may cut into the chicken. Then you turn it back over and you're going to connect those two pieces here together. Here we go. This is how you make a nice chicken roulade. Then after that you could saute it or roast it. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in my pan here. And I'm going to brown the chicken nicely everywhere. Okay? Use myself with a tongue here to help me up. After it's cooked, the meat is very important to let it rest. You know, there's a lot of agitation in the juices when you cook it and they need to settle down. So when your meat is cooked, let it rest 5-8 minutes, then you serve it. Okay? Above that, you may want to reheat it lightly before you serve it. That's to, again, to allow the juices into the meat to kind of settle down a little bit. Okay, make sure that the pan is nice and hot. It should be smoking a tiny bit so your meat don't stick to your pan. It's very important. If you cook your meat and the pan is not hot enough, the oil is not hot enough, meat or fish, usually they will stick. You need to make sure it's hot so it kind of create a little crust on it right away and prevent from sticking after. Okay, I put my chicken in. Don't shake the pan or anything like that. Let it, give it time to color. It's not too good if you shake the pan too much, then you don't allow the meat to get a nice brown color. Now, the pan was hot when I put my chicken. After I put the chicken in, I want to lower the heat because I don't want to take any chance to burn it. After the smoke, we lower it. Okay, so I'm going to brown each side very well. At one point I'm going to add a little piece of butter and I'm going to baste it. That gives a nice flavor and even out the coloration on it. And you want to be careful when you handle the chicken with your tongue. Don't press too much. You don't want to crack that cold fat that we have on it. And if it cooks too high, again, if the heat is too strong, the skin may break. So I'm going to sear it well, and then I'm going to put it in the oven at 375 degrees Fahrenheit for, I would say, 5 minutes. Then I'm going to let it rest. Then we'll plate it. A chunk of butter here. And I'm going to baste that chicken a little bit before I put it in the oven. There you go. You take some spoon, you take some butter on the spoon, and you just kind of coat your chicken well like that. That's gonna help when it's cooked in the oven to give it a nice color. And while it's in the oven for 5 minutes, after 2-3 minutes, I will baste it again this way. So that just came out of the oven. It was in for 8 minutes. It's nice, it's cooked, I feel it, it feels firm, not too firm. And if it's a little too soft, you might go back into the oven. You want to cook that, I would say, till it reaches an internal temperature of 145, 150 max. Since, remember, it's a thin layer of chicken that we have with some stuffing inside, and that muslin, it's still kind of steaming right now as it cools down, and that's how it finished cooking to inside without drying out, okay? So now I'm going to let that rest for a good 5 minutes, and then we'll plate it. While it's resting, I'm going to make a little sauce here. It's going to go with that chicken. So I degrease the pan here. I remove the excess of fat. I'm going to add some white wine. I'm going to let cook that white wine till a glaze. It's going to be reduced almost to dry. Then I'm going to add some chicken stock, a little bit of mustard, grainy mustard, and I'm going to finish it with a little hint of heavy cream here to round it up. One little trick, I'm thinking, you know how many times you remove something from the oven and you let it set, and then you're going to do something else and you come back and you forget that that pan just came out of the oven and was hot, so you might grab it like, now it's hot, and burn yourself. So it's always important, you know, to leave, we call that to flag, something that's been in the oven, a sheet pan, some kind of trays, roasting, or saute pan. You flag it with a towel, so next time you come to it, you know, you're not going to burn yourself. You're going to just grab on the towel. In the old days, we used to put a little bit of flour on it, so the other guys in the kitchen will know that that pan is hot. You see, there's not much left here, a little bit still to go. As I reduce my white wine, I'm just getting rid of that acidity that's inside. So the sauce is not too aggressive with the wine. Okay, so that reduced to a nice glaze here, almost dry. I'm gonna add my stock to that. That was a light veal stock. I have a recipe of veal stock, yes, on the channel somewhere. Earlier I said I'm going to add the mustard, then the cream. Actually, I'm going to add the cream and then the mustard. We finish with the mustard, the sauce, because if not, you don't want that mustard to boil. It becomes too grainy. It looks like little particles of mustard in it. You don't want that. So we add it last, and we try not to boil it, you know, too long, I would say. Okay, so that reduced by almost 2/3. I'm going to add my heavy cream to it. The heavy cream here is kind of a binding element. Huh? It's going to, or the thickener agent, I should say more. It is also a binding element, but here it's more as a thickener, but I'm using it. It's going to tighten up that sauce. Huh? It's going to give it some body. And I want to get to what we call the nappen consistency. That's when it actually naps the back of your spoon. Now the mustard is also a thickening agent somehow, so because it's thick. You have to take that in consideration. You don't want to reduce that sauce too much and then add your mustard to it and you have something that's way too thick. Unless this is how you want it. So now I have a little nappen. It's time for me to add now the mustard. I have a little tablespoon of mustard here. Now I'm going to turn off the heat. And remember, mustard does not like heat too much, so at that point you don't want to cook it too much. You can cook a little bit, but again, don't let it boil. Voila, beautiful. If you like herbs, a great herbs that will go with that goes very well with mustard sauce, it's tarragon, de l'estragon. Tarragon goes very well with mustard. Okay, so here I have my sauce. I'm gonna have to move quick so it doesn't dry. You know, when you keep a sauce, if I was just to let it set like that for 5 minutes and come back to it, I would have a skin on top of it, and that's the last thing I want. So if I was to keep it here, I will actually cover it in a little container so it doesn't develop that film. Okay. Now we're going to cut into that chicken and see how it is. One thing I forgot to do, remove the string. We need to remove the string from the chicken. It's very important. I was feeling something and what is it? The string. My students do that mistake all the time with a pork chop dish that we serve where I work. They forget the string, and I made that exact same mistake. Ay, ay, ay. So I'm cutting the string off the chicken. Nah. Okay. So, here we go. It's nice and juicy, it's perfectly cooked. So I was saying, that chicken looked beautiful, nice and juicy. This is great. So, here it is. It's very nice. It's beautifully cooked. We have our muslin inside here. That's the muslin around. We do the dice of carrots that we add in, and in the center we have that little stuffing of tomato and mushroom, okay? It looks great. Now I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to make the plate. My ratatouille right here. Put that inside like that. You pack it down. Okay. And now I'm going to take my chicken and I'm going to overlap it around here, showing up the stuffing, of course. This way. Okay. So you build it like that. Up. Then you remove your ring more. In a little bit. We have extra pieces here for another plate. I could have put one less here and make two plates, but I'm very hungry. Then I will take my sauce. Oops! One thing in the sauce very important. Last minute seasoning. Salt. Absolutely, we need salt. And then I'm going to drizzle that sauce nicely around my food here. Okay. In here I'm going to add straight this up like that. I'm going to add a little bit of garnish. Here I'm going to give him a little leaf of basil. I'm going to put actually a couple leaves of basil like that. I have some basil in that tomato fondue that I made. It goes great with a ratatouille and it gives a nice little presentation like that here. Okay. Here's your plate. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know. Press that like button. À bientôt!